guys, welcome to day 2 of Bookmas. I just tried saying that and I said book 2 of Damus. So I'm on a roll here. Yesterday was the read with me and now we're going to be getting into all sorts of bookish videos. So I'm going to be doing a video a day from yesterday until the 24th. And today is going to be my book wish list plus like a few bookish extras. We're going to start with the extras just because I think this is fun. Some of them are like really book related and some of them are like, well, bookish people might like this. And then, now I don't remember my full schedule, possibly tomorrow or the next day. I think it's tomorrow. I'm going to be sharing my gift guide for book lovers. These are like things that I have received or bought myself and really enjoyed. So if you have bookish people on your list this year, or if you need to give people ideas, hopefully from this list and the next list, you should have tons of ideas. And because I know a few people have inquired about sending me stuff off of my list, I'm going to be specific if I have like asked for this from somebody in my life, but especially like people want to send books every now and then, which I appreciate so much. No pressure, you do not need to feel the need to do so, but if you want to, I'm not gonna say no. But here's one tip. Because I am in Canada and most people are in the US that are here watching these videos, here's a tip. If you want to send me a book from my Amazon wish list, what I always do when I send gifts to the States, so like this year I've been doing a giveaway each month of the year, and whenever I have to send something to the States, I go onto Amazon.com. So you could go onto Amazon.ca. You get a free Prime membership for 30 days. You send the gift and then you cancel your membership. That's what I've been doing. So I don't usually have to pay for shipping when I send books to the States. And so if you wanted to send a book to me but you're not Canadian, this is the way you could do it and you don't have to pay shipping. Just throwing that out there. It's really actually annoying to me because I feel like because we have Prime in Canada, so I feel like we should be able to send something from the United States to the United States. That Prime should still work there. But anyway, that's just a workaround that I have. So let's start with the bookish things. I think I've asked for all of these from my parents. They asked for a list. I tried to give a bunch of ideas. So this one thing I came across and I was like, well, I have to put this on my list because I am so curious. It is a reading thumb holder. Now, it's like when you hold your book, your thumb is in here, and this is supposed to help you put your thumb inside of this thing, which I'll have here for you, and then it's supposed to like hold your pages down more. Will this work? I do not know. I did ask on Instagram people's opinions and it was very split in the poll. I got a couple messages. Somebody thought like it would irritate your thumb, like it would just be annoying, but somebody did message me and said they used to have one and they lost it and it's amazing and they wish they still had it. So now I'm feeling kind of optimistic about this. So that's on my list. I'm gonna link whatever I can in the description below. Normally I link things on my blog, but for Bookmas I'm trying to keep things simple. So I'm gonna try to link all the stuff below. So there's different ones, there's like wooden ones and stuff. I put this like floral one on my list because I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know. I'm so curious. Okay, this is not a book thing, but I feel like bookish people are often puzzle people. And thanks to Felicia from Little Prairie Library, her Instagram, I saw that there are these country diary seasonal puzzles. So they have one for each season and they're based off of the book Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady, which I love that book. I get it from the library like at least once a year, and it's just like a nature journal of this lady that lived in the early 1900s, and she lived in England, so like first of all cool, and her illustrations are awesome. And so they take the illustrations, her nature drawings, and they've turned them into puzzles. So I don't even remember which one I specifically asked for Christmas, but I told my mom I'm gonna want them all anyway, so if you need more ideas you can get me more. And yeah, I want all of those. And then there's also so they're Cobble Hill puzzles, and I saw they have some really cool ones that are like tea time and bees. So those are cool. And then on the puzzle vein, another thing I asked for was a puzzle mat. And I know they're not new, and obviously they work because people love them and use them, but I don't understand how they work. Because when you try to roll up a puzzle, don't the pieces all just break? I don't know. But I want one because currently we do our puzzles on a foam core board and then carry them down the hallway into our room and put them under the bed. And first of all, I'm scared I'm gonna bump it and wreck the entire puzzle every time. And then also the cat likes to go under the bed and hang out on the puzzle, and that's just a disaster waiting to happen. So I have that on my list. And I think that's really all I have for bookish things. I have some like pen pal supplies on my list as well, which I guess kind of works. I wanted some sealing wax sticks because I have sealing wax little balls that you have to melt, but a stick you just light it and then drip the wax onto your envelope and then seal it. It sounds a little bit easier than melting a spoonful of wax. And what else did I have for that? I feel like there was something else, but I don't see it on my list anymore. So then let's just jump into the books because there's quite a few. And I'm going to start at the very bottom of my list. So these have been on there the longest. And a few of these will have been on I did a wish list video last year, and a few of these would have been on there because they've been on for a long time. So my first one is A Flight of the Raven by Morgan L. Bussey. So this is the second book in the Mark of the Raven trilogy. I think it's the second one. And I've owned book 1 and 3 for like a year and a half or so and haven't bought book 2. So I have that one. That is a Christian fantasy book and I really enjoyed it. I have Sanderson's Warbreaker on my list. I think this is my favorite of his fantasy books that I've read. Other than maybe like Mistborn, but I like it way more than the Stormlight Archive because it's much shorter to start. I liked it more than Elantris. So yeah, I loved that book. Then we've got Echo by Pam Munoz Ryan. The audiobook for this is phenomenal, like 5+ stars if you can do that. And I just feel like this is a book I would like to have on my shelf. It's a middle grade historical fiction following, I think, 4 different kids, and there's like a slightly magical element because they all have possession of this harmonica at one point during, I can't remember when it starts, it's been a few years. Pre-World War II through longer, or maybe it's even World War I. And then we get to see some of the struggles in their lives during these important periods in history as they each have this harmonica. I have Adventuring Together by Greta Eskridge on my list. This is it's like a parenting / kind of homeschooling book that I listened to on audio I think a year and a half ago as well and really enjoyed, and have that one on my list. Okay, Annabelle Lee by Mike Napa. This book has been recommended to me so many times. I've gotten it out from the library multiple times. Still haven't read it. I think it's Christian, I want to say like fantasy. I don't know if this is based off of the poem. I don't even know if I've ever read the description. I'm reading it right now. It says 14 miles east of Peachtree, Alabama, a secret is hidden. That secret's name is Annabelle Lee Truxon, and even she doesn't know why her mysterious uncle has stowed her deep underground in a military-style bunker. He's left her with a few German words, a barely controlled guard dog, and a single command. Don't open that door for anybody. You got it? Not even me. What? Like, I don't think I've even read this. Okay, sometimes I don't like to read descriptions because I feel like sometimes it can spoil the book. But also, like, that makes me want to actually read the book, so maybe I should read descriptions sometimes. Also, there's definitely some bouncy ball sounds from upstairs. Obviously, somebody's trying to entertain the kitty. And I have another plant down here because there was a cat lying in it and possibly wrecking it today. So my office is becoming a jungle because all the plants are coming here. Yeah, the spray bottle does work. He doesn't go into them when they're in here, but I can't be standing everywhere by all my plants with a spray bottle. And I've been putting rocks in some of them, but I ran out of rocks. Anyway, that was a side note. Oh my goodness, this book is currently $30 and it's just a teeny book, so it doesn't seem worth it, but I have The Lost Spells by Robert McFarlane on here. They're illustrated by Jackie Morris. I really enjoy this book. They're nature poems and her illustrations are gorgeous. So I love the book. I don't think it's like $30 though, because it's, I think, smaller than this. So seems a little pricey. Then I have We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I've read this one. I like the gothic horror genre. I don't like horror, but gothic horror is very different. It's just like that like eerie, creepy element. So I have that one on my list. Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. I really want to read this book. I read her North and South. I think it's a year, just over a year, or right around a year. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I want to read Wives and Daughters. But I have been looking at like this used bookstore that I go to, and every time I go to the thrift store, and I've never been able to find it. Next up is Spy Family. I mean, I loved that series so far. I'm not fully caught up, but I want to own them. They're a manga series that are kind of dark. I mean, most manga is, but we've got an assassin a spy who needs to get married for a mission and have a kid, but he doesn't realize that the woman he marries is an assassin and his daughter's a telepath. The illustrations are awesome and I loved the story, so I want those books. Starting with volume 1, although the cover of volume 2 is the cutest for sure. Then I have a bunch of L.M. Montgomery. So she has books that just don't seem to be in print anymore. So you can only, as far as I can tell, can only find them in like the old vintage copies, which I'm totally fine with. I just wish they were more easily available. So we've got A Tangled Web, The Road to Yesterday, Chronicles of Avonlea, Akin to Anne, that's Tales of Other Orphans, and Dr. Sweetheart. And I know there's more that I don't have on my list, but so many, like, you can find Anne of Green Gables, the first book and the series, in multiple different editions, but these other ones don't seem to be getting reprinted, and I'm very discouraged by that. I don't like when just like one of an author's works continually get republished. Like, everybody publishes Anne of Green Gables, but like, what about all the other books? Next up is Shadows in Mind's Eye. I've heard really good things about this book and it's one I want to read. I think it's Christian historical fiction, she says with a question mark. So her name is pronounced Jan Eyre. Where does it tell me what happens? Okay, so I don't know the time period. Charlotte Ann longs to turn back the clock. Before her husband Sam went to serve his country in the war, he was the man everyone could rely on. I don't really know what year it's set in, but it's on my list. Then we've got some more historical fiction. Lines of Courage by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This one, is this one her newest one? No, I have not read this one. Okay. She writes quite a few different books. So this one is World War I, which intrigues me because there's so much World War II history. I think this is like middle grade. I find her books are like upper middle grade, lower YA. So this follows 5 kids from World War I. So that one would be interesting. I have 3 Rudis Petties on my list. Between Shades of Grey, which is World War II. I Must Betray You, which just came out earlier this year. This is set in 1989 in Romania. And Salt to the Sea, which is also World War II, but Between Shades of Grey mostly takes place in a concentration camp in Siberia. So I think I've rated every one of her books 5 stars. Fountains of Silence, maybe not quite as much, and that's like the one that I own. The Hiding Place in the Engaging Visual Journey edition. I've seen these popping up. Krista from Books and Jams and Karina from What Brings Karina Joy have been getting them. I know Holly got one recently, the book that she loves so much, Hind's Feet on High Places, I think it's called. They look fantastic and I love The Hiding Place, so I think that would be a really good addition to the story. Back in the summer, everybody was reading Les Mis and I could not get my hands on a physical copy, so that's on my to-buy list. I would like to read it someday. In grade 8 we had to read Jean Valjean, which I think is just, from what I know, I think just a like very abridged version of Les Mis, and I clearly remember it because there was parent-teacher interviews and I got in trouble for not handing in an assignment, which I said I did but I never did because it was drawing and I hate drawing and I'm terrible at it. but eventually I did hand it in. Same with the Count of Monte Cristo? Cristo? I don't know. There was a readathon going on. I couldn't get my hands on a physical copy, and I want to learn to read ebooks. I know that classics I have to read in physical copy because classics are hard as it is and ebooks are hard, and so I can't do both. Now, I also want to read some Maud Hart Lovelace. So I have Emily of Deep Valley on my list because Amy has talked about this one a few times and I'm very intrigued. I also have the Betsy Tacy Treasury on my list. Ooh, it's 27% off right now. If we keep going here, a nonfiction, which I guess there was at least one before, but Gospel Fluency by Jeff Vanderstelt. I've listened to this book on audio multiple times. It's all about speaking with gospel speech in our everyday. Something I struggle with, trying to get better at. I think the book is a good reminder. Then we've got The Sinking City by Christine Cohen. This is Christian fantasy, I think. I started it on ebook and yes, just want to get better at that, that's for sure. Then I've got three books by Jane McMorland Hunter. So she has a nature poem for every night of the year, nature writing for every day of the year, and a happy poem to end every day. I really enjoy her poetry collections, and I think her nature writing would be very interesting because it's not poetry necessarily. There's some essays in there. So I have 2 of her books. I have a nature poem for every day of the year and a friendship poem for every day of the year, and I just really enjoy the poems that she collects. Going to Christian science fiction, A Time to Die by Nadine Brandes. I started this on audio. I'm technically still reading it, but I'm just in a season where audio is a bit of a struggle. Then we've got Iggy Morton Mystery Queen, The Dead Man in the Garden. So I think, is that book 2 or 3? I think I own book 1 and 2 and this is number 3. So I just am slowly collecting that series. I love the middle grade Agatha Christie-esque kind of book. This one is one that I would really like to get my hands on. It's Penguin Classics Complete Poems by Emily Bronte. I have realized that she may be my favorite poet. She may beat out Emily Dickinson. Out of the few poems of hers that I've read, I've like really loved them. And I love that there's a collection of her complete poems. So really want that one. I'm reading so many poetry books right now though, and so many of them are like for an entire year, so I won't really share them in a wrap up for a very long time. Then I have The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp on my list. I do have this on ebook. I did get it for like $1 or $2 when it was on sale recently, but I've heard such great things. It feels like one that I will want a physical copy of. Then The Bookshop of Secrets has been one that's been really recommended to me. First of all, I don't know what The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp is even about. I don't know anything. I've just heard great things. The Bookshop of Secrets, I'm assuming, is historical fiction. Next up is The Complete Journals of Ella M. Montgomery. So I did ask from my parents for her first one, so I don't have that on my wish list because I'm really hoping I get that one. But eventually I want them all, and I think they're quite big books. This one, the one I have on my list is The PEI Years, 1900 to 1911, and how many pages is it? It's 444 pages. So the one I asked for from my parents was 1889 to 1900, and the hardcover has, I think, come down in price. My mom's like, you want the paperback, not the hardcover, right? Paperback's $37, hardcover $134. I'm pretty sure it was like $210 when she originally asked me. I guess she wasn't willing to spend that much on me. Next up is Woven, Understanding the Bible as One Seamless Story by Angie Smith. This is a nonfiction, just retelling the Bible story, and I enjoyed it when I read it. Almost 2 years ago, I read it as a NetGalley ARC in the nights when I was feeding our foster baby. So it's a little hazy, but I really did enjoy, from what I remember, I really enjoyed it. Then I have Project Hail Mary on here. I really, really enjoyed this book and feel like it's one I want to own. That's science fiction. I don't know. I feel like you can't talk about that one without getting into spoilers, so I just won't talk about it. One that I recently mentioned was Ode to a Nobody. I just read this one in my last reading wrap-up. It's a middle grade free verse with the most gorgeous cover. I'm just kind of obsessed with it. It is only coming out December 6th, and I would like to get my hands on a copy. Then that reminded me that I want the book Maybe by Carolyn Starr Rose. This was the very first, from what I can remember, the very first free verse novel I ever read, and I just fell in love with the genre. I still have this like inner desire to one day write a middle grade free verse novel, but it's harder than it sounds, so that dream will just kind of like keep going for now. Okay, then I heard about this book, and I don't remember where I heard about it. It's Emily Dickinson and the Art of Belief. So I think it has to do with Emily Dickinson and her views on Christianity. I'm not really sure, but it sounded interesting because she definitely is at least one of my favorite poets. If Emily Bronte is now beating her out, I'm very curious on that. Next up is The Key to Deceit. This is book 2 in the Electra McDonnell series, which is a historical mystery series. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars, so I already own book 1. Would like to add book 2 to my collection. 2 more left. The next one is The Legendary Inga. I just read this one also for a reading wrap-up. That one had like 2 books that instantly went on my wish list. This is a medieval fantasy book that had an excellent first chapter and just continued. I enjoyed the whole thing. And the last one is a nonfiction book. It is Live Your Truth and Other Lies, exposing popular, and it cuts off, exposing popular deceptions that make us anxious, exhausted, and self-obsessed by Alyssa Childers. So, Childers, there we go. She was one of the singers from Zoe Girl, and so that's just a flashback to my teen years, but this book sounds amazing, and so I want to read that one as well. So I just instantly put it on my list. My nonfiction, I often like to own so I can annotate and tab and highlight and all the things. So this video got a lot longer than I was hoping for, but there's a lot of books and bookish things on my wish list. I'd love to hear what you guys have on your wish list, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway here. For December, the giveaway is going to be me giving a $25 gift certificate to someone who tells me something that's on their wish list. So tell me something that is on your wish list, a book or bookish thing, or something that a bookish person might like. And let's see here, I gotta look at my calendar. The last day to enter the giveaway, let's say, is Wednesday, December 7th, and I will choose a winner on December 8th and contact them and give them a Amazon gift card to hopefully help them either purchase or put money towards this bookish item that they want. Thanks so much for being here, guys, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video.